We just saw the Thunder handle the Pelicans last night. I thought, wow, they played a hell of a game. And even though they're so small, they did a good job of taking advantage of the non-Valanciunas minutes, which when you're looking ahead to Minnesota and you look at the size disparity, they're going to have to find a way to do the same against Minnesota.
They're not,
Yeah,
I don't want to say they're small, they're just not big because all their players are big except they don't have a five. So they have five big dudes who are just like all 6'7", 6'8". So I think that presented a lot of problems for and for New Orleans. I think it will probably present some problems for Denver. It just the problem is, assuming they win, they don't have anyone at all to credibly guard Jokic, and that's going to be the series right there.
yeah. I mean, Jokic is going to probably pick them apart. I think the fun stuff would, if it's going to be OKC, is Shea going at them and putting Jokic in the pick and roll on the other end. I think is really where it's going to get interesting. Is can they guard him? Giddey was really good in this game. I mean, posted a career high, which probably doesn't count because stats don't. This is the purgatory of stats type of game, and I feel like this is it would be a very interesting matchup for Denver in that sense. I almost feel like if they get Minnesota, it's more traditional and probably works more in Denver's favor. Like that's an easier matchup for them. And because Denver is such a low IQ team, it probably plays more into Denver's hands than anybody else's.
But you mean Minnesota's a low IQ team, not Denver. But
Sorry,
yes,
yes, Minnesota.
yeah,
It would be
I was
dumb to
like,
call Denver a low IQ team. I meant
Woo.
Minnesota is a low IQ team, and Denver can pick them apart.
Yeah, we're recording
It's
very early. Yeah, it's very early compared to how we normally record. Go ahead.
I kind of think so. Looking ahead, if we're going to look ahead for Denver, pat the 8 seed on the head, say nice season, like we do. Whoever they play in the second round between the Clippers and Suns, I think that the Thunder are definitely like. I think I would rather play the Thunder if I'm Denver because I think that's a better warm up because you're going to be facing similar challenges in the second round as you would against OKC, but not really the same at all as against, aside from a jump shooting big. But that's not really why Phoenix would beat you, right?
Yeah. And so we're recording this on Thursday. The play-in doesn't happen until Friday night. So we don't know if the Nuggets are playing the Wolves or the Thunder. I do think that we expect them to beat either team. They should. Do you guys want to make a prediction here on the play-in? I mean, the Wolves vibes are at an all-time low, and the Thunder just won a play-in game as the 10 seed. It feels like this is set up for Minnesota to come away embarrassed, guys.
I think this is, to be honest, I'm going to make a bold prediction that can go into either playing game. This will be the first time a 10 seed. Or wait, no, Atlanta was a 10 seed. What weren't they?
No, Atlanta was the 8 seed.
Last year?
Oh, last year. They may have been. Who remembers?
This is the first year. This is the first year a 10 seed has even won the 9-10 game, I believe.
Thank you. Okay, then they weren't the 10 seed. This is the first year I think one of these 10 seeds will move on and be the 8 seed in the playoffs. Either OKC or Chicago, one of them will win, and if not both of them, but there will be at least one 10 seed that will pull off the miracle upset and make their way into the playoffs.
I think depending on how much we can put into the performances of the teams that dropped down, that lost the first game, I think that we would be almost surprised if the higher seeded team won based on how Miami and Minnesota kind of played in the first game. So however much you want to read into that.
Yeah, I mean, neither team's playing their best basketball, and it's the worst time to be playing not your best basketball. For Minnesota, though, to be fair to them, they were ravaged by some kind of stomach flu, and then they have suffered a rash of, random injuries. Naz Reid breaks his wrist. Jaden McDaniels punches a wall and breaks his wrist.
Self-inflicted.
Yep.
Self-inflicted injury on that one.
Gobert punches Kyle Anderson and somehow in the most awkward punch ever doesn't break his wrist, luckily for them. And I don't know. I mean, it's a culmination of events and it just feels like it's going to be done. By the way, not to even mention Anthony Edwards got hurt in that game against the Lakers. You know, when he jumped up on that second jump to try to block a shot and fell on his shoulder, he hurt his thumb, his wrist, and his shoulder, and essentially had to play decoy. I mean, he was awful, awful. But in hindsight, I mean, he was playing decoy hurt. I mean, you give him credit because he gutted it out. They didn't have anybody else who could come out there and do anything credible. So you know, it's tough luck for Minnesota, a team that we
It was also
thought we'd like more.
it was also really shitty coaching in the
Oh,
last 6 minutes of that game. I don't understand when you have Mike Connolly cooking, how Finch doesn't find ways to get him more involved. Maybe in the end of gameplay when you call a timeout, instead of having Kyle Anderson just dribble the ball into the backcourt and turn it over, maybe Mike Connolly should have been in the action. I don't know, but that was just dumb coaching in that last 6 minutes of that fourth quarter and overtime.
To be, well, I agree with what Mo said. To be fair, I don't think any coach in the world is telling Karl-Anthony Towns or Anthony Edwards to catch the ball with the guy closing out on them and hold it for 4 seconds before doing anything. And that was, the last 6 minutes, that was, it wasn't even prevent offense. It was just like, I can't even
shit
describe it.
the
It was
bed
just,
offense.
Yeah. It was just like, I'm not going to make a mistake. So I'm going to do something very deliberate. And by doing something very deliberate, you're just sabotaging the entire offensive flow.
yeah, it's a worse version of what we've complained about with the Celtics end of game, where they just slow down too much, trying to burn clock, and then they're getting into their actions just super late. And for Minnesota, they just were putting no pressure on the rim the entire second half of that game. The Thunder would welcome that. Please don't drive on us. They don't have bigs, right? Like, please don't drive on us. Please settle for jump shots. That's going to play right into their hands. So I think I'm with you guys. I think the Thunder can pick up this win.